Hi, welcome to Revenue Marketing Television, the CMO Insight Series. I am your host, Jeff Pedowitz, President and CEO of the Pedowitz Group. Today we have as our guest Robby Gulri, who is Chief Talent Officer, Chief Evangelist at Engage Talent. Robby, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Nice to have you. Let's try this again. I know we tried this before, and I think this time we'll be successful at it.
Well, we did. Because there's three things that most marketers want to talk about. They want to talk about content, talk about technology, and talk about their people. So
Definitely.
You're certainly an expert, probably in all three of those. But today we're going to talk a lot about really Engage and why it is so important to find the right people. So in 2018, going into 2019, how have the skills changed? What kind of people are you placing today than you did 5 years ago?
I can talk about it both from an internal and external perspective. Internally, we're looking for people who are flexible and frankly fit in with the right sort of culture mode that we're trying to build with the company. Pedigree is obviously important, but what's more important to me and our management team is really people who are going to sort of go the extra mile and really be able to adapt to a growth and a hyper growth company. We've gone from a very successful business to a much more successful business, and there's a lot of growing pains with that process. So we're looking for people who are not afraid to change, and they're simply kind of internal leaders, and they can not only lead kind of their day-to-day activities, but also lead the group that they work within. From an external perspective, kind of marketing as general, I think it's the same. I spend a lot of time with CMOs and other leaders across here in Atlanta or really across the country. And they tell me flexibility over and above anything is the most important skill that they look for. Beyond flexibility is integrity, and I know a lot of us talk about integrity and a lot of us try to practice integrity, but that's important, especially these days, given that regardless of if you're in marketing or sales or product or operations or engineering, you're touching the customer in some capacity. And if you don't have integrity and if you're not authentic with your conversations and you can't necessarily deliver a core message in a short amount of time, that's a tough sell. So we're looking for people who are good communicators, regardless of what position they're in. They're integral in the organization to have integrity and, if you will, authenticity.
I like that a lot. Integrity is one of our core values, our first one actually. So it definitely speaks to my heart. So tell us a little bit more about running marketing at your company. What are some of the challenges that you faced in the last year or so?
Yeah, marketing, as you know, Jeff, has evolved and it continues to evolve literally week to week. If you look at the latest MarTech stack, Bessemer report that comes out, there's over 6,000 companies and technologies that marketers can use to be effective. So I've always felt that, that shiny coin syndrome is where a lot of people fail, trying to adopt the latest and greatest sort of technology. Hopefully, that'll answer the problems of the things that we're trying to solve, which is connection with our customers, lead generation, and actually closing some real business. So my focus in marketing is really threefold. One is culture. Gotta have the right culture within the organization. So when I'm, and that crosses internal, external, our messaging, our brand, anything that we do to communicate what it is that we do and how we solve those fundamental problems. We try to come in with the right tone and sort of the right approach, and that requires a bit of alignment on culture. Number two, from a marketing standpoint, what I try to do is sort of automate as much as I can without losing the authenticity, and I think that's the key. So outside of culture, the tools and the automation of marketing is quite important. It's there's a lot of organizations think that building Marketo or putting HubSpot in place is the answer, but often it's just one tool to an overall approach, which is just basically aligning and sort of making sure your customers are hearing you and they're connecting with you and basically engaging with you. So it's a balance, as I said earlier, between automation and that engagement. And thirdly, from a marketing standpoint, what I look at is velocity. I want to make sure that we are on top of mind. The decision to buy our solution may not be today, It may not be tomorrow, but at some point when people are facing the problem of talent and talent acquisition and they're looking for a much more efficient way to do things, I want to be in top of mind. So velocity to me is important, and that's across every channel, whether that's social, mobile, online, offline. Anytime I go to an event and speak, I talk about all the different things that we're working on, but ultimately it goes back down to the simple thing of making sure that people understand that, we are thought leaders and experts in the area of AI-powered sort of talent acquisition.
Love that. Makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like you're using technology, both internal, right, to help with the talent, and then you're also using technology to help you market and deliver your messaging, I guess, through multiple channels.
Yeah, absolutely. The marketing tech stack is comprehensive. As I said earlier, 6,000 different companies and technologies and tools that I can use to help me market better. So I pick and choose. I'm a small shop, so I can't afford to spend all my time picking the right tools to do the job. So it's all about making sure that those tools we use are strategic to the overall mission of the organization. So to give you a little bit of example, we use a content management system. It's WordPress. We use a little bit of Wix as well. So we create landing pages, based on certain content that we're trying to distribute. We've got MailChimp in place for some of the outbound automation of mail. We've got a lot of analytics and metrics kind of tools. I use Scythe to create the dashboard of any given day. I use Buffer to automate some of my social posts. So we got a lot of stuff in the mix, but we are all trying to, and I think all CMOs are trying to find that perfect blend of tools to strategy to scale to make sure that, it's sort of kind of that three legs to a stool, if you will.
That makes a lot of sense. So what are you being held accountable for at your company, and then what do you hold your team accountable for?
Yeah, for us, it's the number one thing on top of the pyramid, or I guess the bottom of the pyramid, and everything kind of builds upon that, is MQLs. Marketing qualified leads. Now, every organization has a different definition for what that means, but we want to make sure that anything we do, whether it's an event, whether it's a promotion online, whether it's a campaign, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a podcast, it's being sort of recorded. The metrics are being generated and then translated into sort of accountability and sort of a connection to those particular events that we do to make sure that we're generating the right sort of marketing qualified leads. So I measure myself on the number of leads that are generated on a monthly basis. I measure my team. So if there's anything that we are doing, whether it's a white paper, whether it's a data sheet, I always try to go back to the simple question of how is this going to help us generate interest and awareness and ultimately traffic to our website, which hopefully leads to a request for demo to our platform, which then obviously leads to a potential opportunity for our sales team to close the deal.
Just keeping it real, right? Just, stay on it.
Keeping it real. The days of, and one of the things I think that's helped me in my career, Jeff, is I don't come to marketing from a traditional sort of brand or a product marketing background. I actually have a degree in electrical engineering and mathematics, so I have a hardcore technology background. And that kind of methodology and process education and sort of early on in my career work that I did has really helped me in marketing, because ultimately it's all about accountability. A lot of this activity then ultimately it goes unmeasured, or the measurement is inaccurate, which again does not go back to producing the appropriate ROI.
And as a bonus, you can wire the building, right? Or
right. That's a long time ago. I guess I could pick up an electrical engineering book and try to figure it out, I guess.
All right. Well, there you go. So because you do recruit a lot of people, you talk to a lot of people, what are some of the challenges you see marketing executives facing now that maybe they didn't have a couple years ago?
Yeah, so there's often misalignment between the company and the individual that works for that company. And what I mean by that is, how many people do you know, Jeff, that are in positions that they don't belong in? They're frustrated. They have a tough time waking up in the morning and actually being productive that day. Not that they're bad people. In fact, they're very smart, educated, and effective individuals. Unfortunately, there's a misalignment. So why we're in the business of Engage is to make sure that we can help with the leveraging of data to eliminate some of that, or hopefully all of that misalignment. And so I think marketing executives, just like other executives, face the same challenge: is how do I get the right people in my organization to help me accomplish the goals that I've set out to accomplish in a way that is scalable and reproducible. And I think over and above anything, and sure, MarTech is complicated and there's a huge ecosystem there, but over and above anything, I think talent is the number one issue that a lot of marketers face.
And probably will continue to face, right, for quite some time, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, the job market today, the reports came out. We added another 235,000 jobs. Unemployment rate overall is at 3.8%, the lowest it's been in a long, long time. For information workers, I read this the other day by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The information workers, their sort of unemployment rate is in the 1.8, 1.9% range, below 2, right? So, there's not a lot of good talent out there. The good talent is already employed, and they're very productive. So helping identify the right talented organizational fit individuals with the right culture mix is a huge, huge challenge, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if you were going to give advice to a younger marketing executive on the rise that wants to become a CMO someday, what would you tell her or him?
That's a great question. I often get approached by younger marketers who want to be a CMO or be, sort of a marketing leader of some kind. And my advice is very simple. Be authentic. Do not try to change yourself to try to fit in with some kind of, value system of the company. Marketers who are not authentic, you can tell from 500 feet away that they're not authentic. So be authentic. Also, number 2 is don't get sidetracked by the shiny coin syndrome, as I always like to say. There's a lot of tools and tricks and tips and content and all kinds of stuff that's out there that can kind of take you away from your core mission. So stay on that path and make sure that and again, that mission may change